Hello. Today I thought I would share some tips and tricks to make your mastectomy surgery go a little bit easier, even though easy is not really what I would use. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be pretty rough. But I did do quite a bit of prep for my own, and I also learned some things along the way that I didn't know I would need. And other people helped me out with that, and it was really wonderful, and I'm very grateful to have so many people in my life that took care of me through this. The first thing that I made sure I did, and my husband, we went out and we purchased groceries, especially the hard goods like toilet paper, paper towels, canned goods, things like that. We purchased about 4 to 6 weeks worth of some of those things, everything for our cats and everything, to make sure that we had kind of took that off his plate, so it would be one less thing for him to have to worry about. Quickie little milk runs to the store or produce runs, that's fine. He didn't have to do any like big shopping for several weeks, which came in really handy for us. It was a lot of work to get ready for it, but he was pretty stressed, so this was a lot better for him. And I also prepared food for the 3 weekends prior to my surgery. I actually cooked a ton. I made a bunch of soups, and I broke them down into like little 4-serving containers, and I froze them. And I also made individual meals. And I probably made about between 20 and 30 little individual meals that were all frozen. And that way at the beginning of each week, I could just, or every few days, I would take some of these meals out and thaw them out, and then all I had to do was pop them in the microwave, because even I didn't realize that I wasn't going to be able to stir. No stirring, no lifting, anything. They didn't even want me to lift more than a couple pounds. So I couldn't even lift my cast iron frying pan. So no sweeping, no mopping, no wiping counters, things like that. No doing this. No nothing where your arms rub up against your sides where the drains are. No elevating your heart rate. So having the food pre-made was really, really great. And even with that, I kind of overdid it a few times with some of the things I did. But if I hadn't had that, I don't know what I would have done. But also in my case, my husband is not a phenomenal cook. Sorry. But he cooks okay. And I had some stuff that he is good at cooking. I had all that kind of prepped and frozen for him as well. So he would just have to thaw things out and cook it up in 5 minutes. And things like steak tips, he can do steak tips. So that's what I did. Super helpful. If you have somebody in your life that's going to be there 24/7 and cook for you, fantastic. But if you just have every now and then. There are also organizations that help breast cancer patients. At least there's one in my area. And they have volunteers that will bring meals. They'll help with your housework, things like that. I had my mother-in-law doing my laundry for 6 weeks, and I had my daughter come in and help with the housework, especially scrubbing down my bathroom. So I couldn't do any scrubbing, no scrubbing. So you really do need to have somebody do that. You are going to be a lot more helpless than you think you are. I was very helpless. It's very important that somebody come in to do that. Some things to make sure you have with you. You're going to have this, well, you might have a prettier one than this. This is a very generic hospital surgical bra, which I'll show pictures of me wearing this fancy job at some point. But I had this on for 3.5 weeks. It zips up here in the front, and they hook the drains to this. I had 2 drains on either side for the first week, and then I had 1 drain on either side for 3 more weeks after that, just about 3. It's not comfortable. It's bulky. They pin them to it. And I found pretty quickly that I don't fit into clothes. So you really would be wise, especially to bring to the hospital the first day, to have zip-up shirts or button-up shirts, something very easy to fasten and probably about 2 sizes larger than what you wear. I wear a small. I borrowed some pajama tops from my mother-in-law that were probably like a large or an extra large. It has to cover up. This is going to be really bulky down here where the drains are. They do sell shirts with pockets in them, but I mean, you're only going to need it for, 2 to 4 weeks. So, they're pretty pricey, so I don't know if I would buy it, but I recommend having a shirt or two with you in the hospital, especially to wear home. That button up in the front. And also make sure you have some nice, easy slipper socks to go on and off, and some pants that are easy to fasten. I have had leggings. I wore pajama bottoms for the first week because I didn't have anything, but when I went to go out to the grocery store the first time or to the doctor's office, I didn't want to wear pajamas. It's not my thing. So I actually had some leggings, but I actually found the first week, at least the first week, maybe in the first 2 weeks, I had a hard time buttoning buttons. This arm here, I call it my T-Rex. So my T-Rex arm couldn't do much of anything. And that made it difficult. I couldn't even close car doors. So do make sure you have help. Somebody's got to drive you to the doctor's. I couldn't drive. I couldn't close car doors. I couldn't buckle my own seatbelt. I had a hard time with that. So keep that in mind for the first week anyway. And make sure there's a place all set up for you to watch TV comfortably before you come home, or at least somebody there that can get you comfortable. I already had the pillows all laid out and the kind of just an area for me to be for the first few days. I've had a prior surgery before a couple years ago, and I kind of knew to do that, to have that all set up for myself, but that comes in pretty handy too. And you will want to sleep at about a 45-degree angle as well. So make sure you have pillows and things. You're going to, if you're like me, I had to sleep on my back in just one position for 6 or 7 weeks. I couldn't even shift to my side a little bit. So keep that in mind. You're going to want enough pillows to prop yourself up. And you're probably going to be sleeping on your back. So make sure you have a place where you're going to be comfortable to do that. Washing, you can't shower until the drains come out. I actually had to wait. I waited about 48 hours after my drains came out before I took a shower. So I have a bathtub, and I was able to sit in the tub in water, but make sure you have a good moisturizing soap and washcloths. Lots of washcloths, because, even if somebody's doing your laundry, if I wanted to change one out for a fresh one, I had a whole stack of washcloths, and it came in really helpful. I also washed and tightly braided my hair right before I went in for surgery, and I had my daughter come in and do that for me for the first, I think it was almost 6 days before I could wash my hair. So I've had this wonderful dry shampoo. My daughter's a hairdresser, so that was great. I recommend having that around. Even when I was able to wash my hair, it was quite a trial the first couple of weeks, very exhausting. So I only washed it like every 3 or 4 days because I couldn't, again, I had a T-Rex arm. So washing my hair was not something I could really do, and putting it up. So once I got it up, I would try to leave it up. So the dry shampoo really came in handy. And also, my daughter had picked me up I had 2 of these. I had the facial towelettes, the Burt's Bees, and also regular baby wipes. These not only came in really handy for personal hygiene during that time, but I'll use a straw to demonstrate stripping the lines in your drains. At first I had no idea. I tried stripping them like this with my hands, and I actually was really unsuccessful at getting them cleaned out. And then the nurses showed me using an alcohol swab, which worked a little better, but it didn't work nearly as good as using one of these baby wipes. And the baby wipes, if you hold the top of the drain tube and put the baby wipe on there, that was super easy, and it made my life a lot better. So I'm glad I had those around. You also should probably have some throat drops, and I had some of the Burt's Bees chapstick. You can see that. I'll put it up there. I had Burt's Bees all weather. You're going to have a tube in your throat during the surgery. A lot of times when you wake up, you're going to have a froggy throat, really dry lips. That stuff was great. It came in very handy, and my daughter actually bought that for me. And you're also going to want to make sure when you do your shopping, if you are a coffee drinker, I had some coffee, some tea, and I don't drink soda, but when my stomach's a little sick, I do have a little ginger ale, so make sure you have ginger ale or something for upset stomach in the house. I was a little dizzy and nauseous when I got home for probably 3 or 4 days, so and also if you take the painkillers, I kind of stopped after like 2 days, but if you take the painkillers after surgery, it can make you a little woozy, dizzy, so I made sure I had stuff for that in the house. I also made sure I had some lotion for my hands, which, oh, the light is blocking that, but I use the Vaseline Healthy Hands. This is also really good to keep your nails strong if you're going to be on a hormone like I am right now. This is really handy. And I made sure ahead of time before I went out for surgery, because I didn't want to have to make any store trips or try to browse or anything in my condition, that I already had at home I had some of the Mederma for scars and for massaging the scars. But I used the Mederma every morning, and then at night I use frankincense, which you can get through doTERRA or whatever, but I actually found this one with a roller, which was really great, because I could just roll it on my scars. And so every night I use frankincense and coconut oil. I use actually cooking coconut oil, just whatever kind, and fantastic for dry skin, and especially when I had to take hot baths every day, but also for the scars. It really seems to be working quite well, and I really like it. I also made sure that ahead of time I got my lymphedema cuff ordered, and I had that already at the house for any lifting. I'm going to put it on, I'll show you. But I went and got this ahead of time. This was a fear for me, so that's probably why they had me go get it. Some people aren't as scared of it. It's not a very high percentage. I think it's like 7%. But for me, losing the use of my right arm was almost worse than chemo. I was like, I'll do anything, but if I have to have horrible pain for the rest of my life in my right arm, that's not something I'm on board with. And losing grip. So I got this ahead of time. I was totally prepared. And it's also about an hour's drive for me to get to the clinic to buy this. So I went and got it a couple weeks before surgery, and I have it ready for me for lymphedema. I also made sure I had Tylenol, ibuprofen in the house, and I already take a multivitamin and calcium already. That's part of my life routine. I also drink a ton of water. But if you're going to be on a hormone, like I am, you may want to get ahead of it and start taking a multivitamin and calcium. And also I use and purchased a wide tooth comb, something softer on your hair than a brush, because the hormones, hair loss, hair thinning, hair loss it's going to be part of the deal, I think. So having the vitamins, I also drink my 8 to 10 glasses of water every day. That's always been part of my life anyway. So now I've also added, I eat a cup of Jell-O every day onto that. That's for hair and nails. And I'm also using, again, my daughter's a hairdresser, but she bought me this shampoo, which is for, it's a conditioner, but this is for thinning hair. It helps thicken it. It's actually a treatment for alopecia, I think. And this is a pump. I put this in my scalp once a day, because I'm on the hormones now. So I will do another video on the side effects of tamoxifen, but you can have this stuff here in your home if you're home for several weeks for the surgery. If you want to kind of get ahead of things, get started, especially vitamins and water and nutrients and eating right and all that. It's good to start that beforehand and get into those habits, because that stuff takes time. You know, the vitamins take time. It's not going to show up in your hair, you know, take it today and tomorrow your hair looks great. You know, this is something I've been doing for a couple of years. So if you know ahead of time you're going to be on a hormone therapy, and most women are, I believe, you may want to just start going on that now. I also made sure I had some icy hot, and I also have this wonderful, I have a full body shiatsu massager from Sharper Image. Very expensive. I already had one in the house, but using that with the heat is actually what helped get my shoulder working again, for the most part. Using that as a massage therapy, fantastic. I really highly recommend it if you don't have one, but again, that's really expensive. I also got these pillows from the nurse at the cancer care center, and I have 2 of them. So if you can get something like this, or if they give them to you as a gift, these go under the arms. And after surgery, these are pretty wonderful. You're going to have a lot of rubbing under there. And they also come in really handy for the lower back, also, when you're done, to lean back. That's what, they came in really handy for me in that way. I loved it. So a heating pad as well, if you can't afford the Sharper Image one, but at least have a heating pad or something. And the Icy Hot, there's lots of aches and pains after surgery, I think probably with every surgery, but especially with this one up in the shoulder area and the neck. Speaking of the neck, my daughter got me one of these also for after the surgery, for laying upright and things like that. I didn't really use it that much, but it did help somewhat the first couple of days. It also wouldn't hurt to learn about the lymphedema exercises you have to do, and maybe practice them and know what you'll have to do ahead of time. I'm going to put a link in the bottom with a great video I found for after mastectomy exercises. Don't do them until your doctor says it's okay. But I worked with that video and then some of the packets that my hospital gave me, and they were really, really great. So I'll put a link in the bottom to that particular YouTube video. It's actually a cancer care place that did the video. You also probably want to have some books and movies and just some things to do. You're going to be pretty bored if you're like me. So I thought I could do a lot more than I actually could do after I got done with surgery. So that was kind of an unpleasant surprise. So hopefully I gave you some tips and pointers to help you out and make it go a little bit easier for you. So good luck.